And a very warm welcome from me, Alan Biggs, to this week's Ref Show from You Are The Ref. Keith Hackett and Mark Halsey join me. As ever, and we seem to say this quite a lot, it's been a mixed weekend for officiating in the top flight. Of course, there's always a great hue and cry at that level when mistakes are made. But the protests lower down are always more muted, but they are just as valid and certainly rather more frequent, I would suggest. Mark and Keith, welcome. I think a lot of us in the media are guilty quite often of forgetting that there are just 20 clubs in the Premier League and that there are 72 in the Football League. What's your impression, Keith, first of all, of the overall standard of that level? And then we'll ask Mark what can be done about it.
I think it's inconsistent. I've seen, the same sort of problems, and that is an ageing population of nationalist referees. People like Nigel Miller, who must be heading for 54. Scott Matheson. And physically they're struggling. They've got, they've been terrific servants to the Football League, but they themselves have to decide when to go. Yeah,
Nigel Miller among those, and a concern at standards. I know, Mark, that from your neck of the woods over in Lancashire, David Flitcroft, the Bury manager, has been quite vocal on this, and he's called for professional referees at all professional levels. Is that feasible?
No, it's not feasible in the Football League because they can't afford to do that. What I would do, I mean, I've been advocating for quite a while, and Keith supported me on this, is that all our development referees that are looking in the development group to go into the Premier League, what we should be doing is having they have a tier system now, I think, where different payments in the League 2, League 1, up into the Championship. But I think these referees that they're highlighting that could step up into the Premier League should be refereeing Championship football week in, week out to get them ready to that next jump. Not refereeing 1 week in the Championship, then a week in League 2, then a week in League 1. Listen, yeah, they all deserve good referees. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for to referees to join the elite group, you've got to be refereeing the high tempo games week in, week out to get you ready for that level. And I really do think that all the development referees in the Football League should be refereeing Championship games week in, week out.
And that point you make there has been echoed quite strongly. If you look at our cards on the table with Gus Poyet recently, he argued, and with great experience of that level, he argued that. And also, Championship clubs can afford it, Keith, yeah?
Well, I think that we've got to look at the PGMOL, how it's funded. It's funded by the Premier League, the Football League, and the Football Association. And therefore, I think that what Mark proposed some months ago was absolutely correct. I mean, to have every referee, like David Flitcroft wants, is just not feasible. But we've also got to understand that there's £10 million going into refereeing, probably even more. And where is that money going? And we're not seeing currently the throughput of referees from the Football League onto the Premier League. Now, in fairness, I think it was a positive move, albeit prematurely, to bring Howard Webb on as the guy that's going to head up getting those through. But we've got to recognise there's people like Steve Dunn and Alan Wiley and others that have been in the position of coaching and doing the job. What have they achieved? And at this moment in time, very little.
But you say that, Keith. What is Howard Webb doing, sitting in a studio at Salford Quays, watching the games on TV as they unfold?
Yeah, is that compatible with what his job description apparently is? I don't know.
Well, the technical director is the technical director, and part of that must be that he's got a succession plan, because that's part of his role, and the succession plan is going to work. Now, in fairness to Howard, he's not inherited much, as I see it. And this has got to be a 2-3 year programme. But to accelerate that, then Mark's got the right idea. That is, get 10 at least, earmark them and say, right, you're coming in, we're going to make you professional.
What's a workable salary for a professional referee to give up his employment? What should it be pitched at?
I think that's a great point. First of all, let us look back to what we had to do when the PGMOL was formed. We said, OK, guys, we want you to become professional. You're not getting an extended contract. It's a 1-year rolling contract, right, out of which, we will allow you 20 hours a week to maintain a job in industry. There's no reason why that cannot be done. So that means that if there's any pension requirements or commitments, they don't lose out. And people like Howard Webb and Alan Wiley and Chris Foy policeman.
You think that's workable again?
It's worked before.
A replica of that.
It's worked before.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to get into the meeting environment of these referees.
Yeah.
They've got to be managed.
Yeah.
So you've got to increase, first of all, the number of coaches. So as I'm sort of suggesting that people like Chris Foy and Phil Dowd should retire, because clearly they're not up to it physically, the body's telling them now, look, quit. Chris had to come off. What they should be like given 4 referees each and said, right, okay, deliver them to the Premier League. You know, take them out the comfort zone, because at the moment the Football League guys are in comfort.
You mentioned
David
Chris,
Allison's a friendly guy.
Can I come on to Chris Foy?
But just saying that, just make the guys, the second tier of elite referees, make them professional, and then if they're not refereeing one week, then they act as 4th officials on the Premier League where they gain their experience, and then if they're doing well, pull them in, pull them out, as you do with young players, as managers do with young players.
Chris Foy, as mentioned, had to come off injured. I think it was a calf injury during Arsenal 3, West Ham 0. He had to be replaced by Anthony Taylor. Now, Chris Foy, an older referee, he's 52 years of age now, but I think you both feel that there's a role for him more constructively off the field now.
Right, but look at it. I mean, there's no doubts, but, we're talking about the opening stages of the game here, and we've got Walcott fouled in the penalty area. It's a straight red card, nothing done.
Right.
Now, at the end of the day, you're saying, where is he? Because this is the opening minutes of the game. So my view is that physically you fatigue, mentally you fatigue. And I think there are a number of select group referees who are in comfort zone.
The thing, with Chris Anfield, they've been absolutely, great service to the PGMOL. They've been excellent referees.
Yes.
And for me, I wanted to go out of being known as a very good referee, not one that stayed on too long. And I don't want these 2 referees to stay on too long and get tarred with, they stayed on too long. They should, they should have, and lose that reputation you've built up over a number of years. Correct. And I think there is a niche for them to come out and help referees if the PGMOL offer them a coaching role. Well,
if they don't, then there's something wrong. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, there's probably even a bigger job for Chris Foy. He's a terrific communicator. When we did Get On With the Game, Get On With Each Other, that sort of promotion that continues today, he was the lead referee that went out, did the talks. He's a great guy for handshaking and giving the right image.
Right. And he's dealt with the public in his police career, hasn't he? All the time. Like Howard Webb.
If the PGMOL don't offer him a job, well, then they can come and work for us.
Yeah.
You are the ref.com's expanding squad.
There'll be a contract on the table from both tomorrow.
The other end of the age spectrum, Michael Oliver's been in the news a lot. Great salute for his performance in the Arsenal FA Cup win at Manchester United.
Terrific game. I thought he was done very well. The only thing that let me down was the Di Maria situation.
Should have been a straight red.
I think it should have been a straight red. And once you second yellows him, it closes the door. For the FA to take any action. I mean, had he straight red, I think he could have been looking at six or more games, and that would have sent a message to everybody, wouldn't it?
Right. I thought it was an outstanding, mature performance. He was under pressure, ate this surrounding of referees. The FA have got to do something about that. They've got to stop that. And we saw that carry on by Chelsea. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this guy, we know he's got all the attributes. However, let's go about this week, because it isn't about having one terrific game.
West Brom and Stoke, denied a penalty, didn't
consistency.
Should have been a penalty later.
It's easy.
Look, he's in the right position.
He's got a great view.
So we're back to this judgment situation. Accuracy. If the guys show any sign of complacency in the performance and a lack of concentration, this is easy, I can handle it, the game bites everybody, all of us.
Let's breeze through a few more games. Similar scenario, Andre Marriner with Burnley 1, Manchester City 0. Zabaleta late on. I don't think anybody was in any doubt that was a penalty.
Let me talk. Just to dwell on that. We're talking here about certainly a potential game-changing situation. But look, it could affect the outcome of the league. We've said this right through the season, that these errors that are being made, particularly with those clubs in the top 4, top 6, are impacting on the result of the league.
Remarkably, Pellegrini didn't make an issue of it, Mark, which is to be lauded. But at the same time, he could have done it quite legitimately.
He could have done it, and it's refreshing to see that Pellegrini's not having a go at referees after the game. He's most probably seething, but you do that privately within your office and through the right channels with the delegates.
Okay.
But I just think that, for me, at this level, you've got to be refereeing week in, week out. You can't do one game 1 week and then not referee for 2 weeks at that level. And sometimes you're not up to speed with it. I don't know. Andre's not been refereeing frequently in the Premier League. So I wonder if that had something to do with it. I
just wonder what Manchester City actually think about it, because we were at the game with the Nigerians when he had a stinker in anybody's eyes. The penalty kick was easy, Alan.
Yeah, well, let's get on to our ever-reliables, although in the case of Mike Dean, I think Mark has got a point to make here on Chelsea 1, Southampton 1, involving Matic.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about 2 big penalty shouts. I think the first one, Mike's got it spot on. It's a penalty where Mike is. It looks a penalty all day long, and I'm sorry, it's a penalty. My only concern with that is why, to justify decision, why show the yellow card? It's either a red card for denial or nothing, and it's not a denial. So it's a careless challenge.
Yeah.
Why show the yellow card? He's putting himself in jail, because in the second half it's quite clearly a yellow card offence, and he goes to get his yellow card out again. But I think he's had a shout. He's realised he's already cautioned him. He doesn't want all the problems that we've had a few weeks ago with Banks and matches. So I think Mike's put himself in trouble. He should not have cautioned at the penalty, but then that left it open. So everyone would have said he deserved the yellow card for the challenge in the second half.
He got himself out of it. Okay.
But having said that, listen, he's a top referee, referee.
Absolutely.
Breezing through a few others then, Manchester United's win over Spurs, Mark Clattenburg in his usual high standard.
It was, and that's what I'm talking about, we just seem to be throwing cards around like confetti at the moment, and our recognition of careless and reckless is all over the place. Now, I was watching it on TV yesterday, and Gary Neville come out and said, well, that's a yellow card for Walker on Ashley Young. And I'm watching, I'm thinking, well, no, it's not. It's a careless challenge. Mark showed how to manage players. He called Kyle Walker out. He's told him, he's given him a good talking to in front of everybody, so he knows where he stands, and it worked. Stop
me if you've got anything to raise, but I'll just breeze through a few others. Martin Atkinson, Everton 3, Newcastle 0. Colaccini's.
I thought that was harsh. I didn't think it was a red card. I've got to say, I didn't think he endangered the player's safety. He wasn't out of control, and I think Martin, perhaps at the back of his mind, had the Banks challenge on Matic and thinking, well, I've taken so much stick for this, I'm not going to do it again. So you can understand why he sent him off, but for me, I don't think it was a red card.
All right, Neil Swarbrick on Aston Villa's 4-0 win at Sunderland. Jonathan Moss on Leicester 0, Hull 0.
Well, going back again about managing situations, managing the game. The second yellow card, it's a careless challenge. Is he stopping a promised attack? No, because there's players around him. No. Manage it. And Steve Bruce come out there. He said, did those 2 yellows weren't a red, would it end up as a red card? But no, the second challenge, like Mark with Kyle Walker on Ashley Young, manage it. He could have managed it, and a referee at that level should be managing those situations.
And I think as well, Keith, there were certain issues with Lee Mason. Certainly RefCam raised them on Crystal Palace's win over QPR. Glenn Turner was on RefCam, said the performance was not good enough at any level. Well, he felt from Mason there.
Well, Lee is Lee. He's totally inconsistent, has been throughout his career.
Missed 2 red cards, said Turner. Yeah. Well, it was his comment. He felt there were a couple of second yellows that he didn't give. But anyway, that completes the roundup. As I said, it's mixed. Some referees coming out with a lot of credit, a lot of constructive points raised by the guy. I must finish off with something on Twitter. I tweeted earlier that I was off to shoot the Ref Show, and back came a tweet from a chap called Tim Duxbury, who said, "Shoot the Ref Show." Now that would get lots of followers. Shoot the ref. As long as I'm holding the pistol.
Interesting. I mean, the shoot. You are the ref. Paul Trevelyan and I started in the Shoot magazine.
Yes,
That's where it
yes.
sort of started from.
No,
Amazing.
Don't get any ideas now.
No.
Thanks to Mark. Thanks
Pleasure.
to Keith. We'll see you next week. Bye.